Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica here with the illustrious
Summer Huntington
of
FlowShala and Steel Mace Vinyasa.
And we are here at one section of the 100-hour Steel Mace Vinyasa instructor certification thing, and I'm going to ask her questions. So this is part of the instructor series. How many actual live sections of this series currently?
So it's 100% virtual, but some of our students like to come in from out of town, some fly in from out of country. So we do have two full 16-hour seminars. They're weekend seminars, and this is the first of two. The next one will be 3 weeks later.
There are three things that we've been talking a lot about in this seminar, and I find her use of language very fascinating. She uses the words prime, condition, and flow as her main three sections of organizing her training and her classes. We are going to talk about those terms in individual depth so that people can translate it. Will you please define what your conditioning element of Steel Mace Vinyasa is and how you organize it?
Sure. In a 60-minute class, the conditioning section occurs after prime. So we'll assume we've already mobilized the joints in such a way that it makes sense to the nervous system and it is not completely randomized. Now we progress into the conditioning circuit. So in conditioning, there are 3 rounds generally. So your first round is a learn it round. This is where you're introducing your mace exercises and potentially body weight exercises. Generally, those exercises occur in an order moving from simple to complex in order to elicit a flow state response. If you're not familiar with flow, it's being in a hyper focus where action and awareness merge. You're completely present in your body and you're able to sense control over your outcomes. So really powerful place to train. Everything we do here in Steel Mace Vinyasa work and FlowShala is geared towards getting us into flow state longer.
There are 4 categories in condition, right? What are they?
So generally when we're coming to instructor training, we really want our instructors to know the difference between what is a static exercise, dynamic, ballistic, compound, and complex. So you guys at home, as you're moving through your own training, generally you can identify if an exercise is static, that means that you're just grinding the mace into position and there's no stepping action, but you're isometrically lowering and elevating with control, for example, like a tactical lunge with uppercut where there's no stepping, you're just bending both legs at the same time. Dynamic is adding that step, so sticking with the tactical lunge, if I was moving and surging forward or surging back and there's a step element, that would be considered dynamic. Ballistic is anything with a swing, so your 360 swings, your front swings, your side swings. Those generally require quadrupling the power at least to generate more force, generally recruiting from posterior chain. And then we have our compound movements or compound exercises, which are combining 2 exercises together would be a compound. And then adding complexity is generally moving from in a dynamic exercise to adding something fancy like a drop swing or stylistic movement would be adding complexity.
So this is fascinating because I do this entirely differently. So she has static moves and then foot movement moves and then ballistic moves and then like ballistic moves combined with stepping moves. I tend to order this differently in my head. So there are 2 strategies, both equally valid. I make people not move their feet and do ballistics immediately from the first day. And then I have people work on that for extremely long periods of time. And then I go to stance, where people would hold a stance and then relearn all the ballistic moves in that, and then go to foot movement over time, and then pull the foot movement from a range of martial arts, where she's combining together stepping between yoga postures. These are 2 similar strategies. My strategy is more of a one-on-one strategy where people have time or they're isolated and alone and they're going to train in a barn for 6 months, so they work through a series of basics. Her strategy is very fascinating because her strategy is meant for when people walk through the door into a class to be able to start them at absolute zero and move them to the high level by the end of the class. It's a very different way of doing it. It's very unique strategy and it's awesome. And she has very good success with it. And that success is based on her teaching coaches to cue properly. So Summer was helping me work on some more proper cueing today?
To get somebody into flow state quickly, you have to establish that trust. And so our coaching methodology is grounded around going straight to the verb. Tell me what my stance is with the verb, the body part that I'm moving, and the direction that I'm moving it in. And that allows us to eliminate that quick moment of faltering or second guessing or wondering what they want you to do, and going straight into the authoritative position as coach to just cue the action, get them right into the action, take away the filler.
And that's always what we're doing. We're solving an engineering equation. Her method is also very similar in layout to like a CrossFit class or Gambate Fitness in Los Angeles. Prime, condition, flow is like warm up, strength piece, WOD. How long is the condition section of the class?
So in a 60-minute class, we really want to spend a good 20 minutes in joint mobility so that they can prime those neural pathways, feel confident, and boost their level of success in conditioning. So don't skimp out on conditioning. It's not a quick 5-minute thing. It's really like mapping out those motor pathways without load. Then in condition, generally that section is 30 to 35 minutes long, and 20 minutes of those are timed, and then 15 minutes of those are practice rounds. We go from a learn it round into a practice and then a performance round.
So what you're hearing is that there are so many learning techniques shoved into an hour here. It's pretty amazing, because the joint mobility, the prime component, uses stance and joint mobility. And how long is prime?
About 20 minutes.
And then you go into condition, and you said that was up to 35 minutes?
30 to 35. So depending on how complex your movements are, you could do a 10 minutes of that learn it round, or 15. But the timed intervals that we use are generally 20 minutes in length for the timed duration, but you still add on that extra 15 to 20. You're still doing strength training, it's just not as quickly.
We're going to continue to talk about this. There is a lot of complexity in this woman's mind, and we're going to try and tease it all out and make it more understandable for the common man so that we can all get better.